This is NC Spin, an unrehearsed discussion on issues of interest to North Carolinians. Now, here is your moderator, Tom Campbell.
Welcome. We've given our regular panel the week off. Instead, we're going to present a special Carolina Collection edition of NC Spin. Several times each year, we interview people who've played a significant role in our state, and we were proud to have had such an opportunity to talk with former Senator Jim Broyhill and hear his stories about his family and his great service to North Carolina. What you're about to see are excerpts from that interview, which was filmed in front of a live audience. The Broyhill family story is the story of North Carolina, the North Carolina we all want to be part of. From lowly beginnings, the Broyhill family became leading citizens contributing to our economy, building a business that at one time employed 7,500 people. They can be called the parents of the modern-day Republican Party in North Carolina, making it possible for many to hold office and be involved in this public policy debate. They have given generously of their resources through the Broyhill Foundation and the Jim and Louise Broyhill Foundation. So there are three threads that I think sort of weave through this family story, and they are family, furniture, and politics. And we're going to talk about each of them tonight. Jim Broyhill, thank you for being part of this discussion with me.
Thank you very much, Tom Campbell. And
let me begin this interview by focusing on your family for a minute. Your father started behind a plow in Wilkes County when he was 11 years old, and over the next years he got involved in lumbering and blacksmithing. Times were hard during those days, and he developed a philosophy that he said, God forges us on an anvil of adversity for a purpose known only to him. As a matter of fact, the biography about your father was named Anvil of Adversity. What did it mean to Ed Broyhill and your family?
Well, my father Ed had grew up in a little farm at the base of the Brushy Mountains in Wilkes County. He was still following, as he put it, the rear end of a mule at the age of 21. And the story he told me, that not only had he been running the farm there for his father, but that he and his brother had rented some bottomland in order to expand. My father was always wanting to expand, and he'd rented some bottomland to expand and grow some corn that season of 1913. Spring of 1913 came along, a flood came along and washed out their crop. And that was when he made the decision that there must be a better way to succeed in life than just farming. And that's when he decided to go to this little school that had just started in Boone. He made his way to Boone and applied.
On foot?
And, well, a lot of it. He walked about halfway.
Yeah.
But his brother took him the rest of the way. But he arrived in Dr. Doherty's office with a $5 gold piece in his pocket. Dr. Doherty took a chance on him, and he had no schooling up until that time, so he put him in the 7th grade. He never did finish, and was drafted in World War I, and did not really get into the furniture business until 1919 when he came home from the Army, and his brother, by this time, had a little small furniture operation in Lenoir called Lenoir Furniture Corporation. And he went to work for his brother, and he went to work in the office. But my father worked for his brother. In 1926, he thought he could do it too. He saved up a little money, and he rented an old blacksmith shop and started making footstools.
In fact, this is one of the very first footstools that they made.
One of the first products that he made right here. And he also made upholstered chairs, just what we call a pull-up chair, not a heavy upholstered chair. He had great confidence in his ability, and he also had a great team around him. This is one of the items that he built during the war. He made thousands upon thousands, hundreds of thousands of these foot lockers, of course, that were utilized by the GIs that were in front of their bed.
We hope you're enjoying this Carolina Collection interview with Senator Jim Broyhill. If you'd like to have the full interview, go to our website, ncspin.com, and learn how to obtain a copy.
Before NC lawmakers tackle immigration reform, they need to understand it's a billion-dollar issue. State legislatures in Georgia and Alabama have passed stringent laws that have decimated their agribusiness economy, leaving crops in the field to die and costing their farmers millions of dollars in lost revenue. Before we hurt our farmers, let's think about a responsible immigration policy that works. Prosperous farms create good jobs right here at home. Paid for by NC Farm Bureau.
The past few years have been tough in North Carolina, but we'll get through them, and just like past generations, we'll be stronger for it. Today, 32,000 realtors across North Carolina are working in their communities to strengthen our housing market. A strong housing market builds a stronger economy by creating new jobs. Every new home sold generates $60,000 to pump back into the local economy. Realtors across the state are working to protect private property rights and advocating to keep housing affordable. We know now is not the time for new taxes or regulations that will hurt the real estate market. Realtors are working every day in our communities to help families achieve the American dream of home ownership. We're here to help you with expert advice and professional service, guiding you through the process of buying real estate. Now is the time to buy, and we're here to help. The North Carolina Association of Realtors, professionally guiding you since 1921.
I'm Wayne Goodwin, your insurance commissioner. Over the last 4 years, I've saved you $1.4 billion. To learn more information, go to my website at waynegoodwin.org. Thank you for your vote.
Let's return to our special interview with Senator Jim Broyhill.
In 1980, the family got together and decided that they were going to sell Broyhill Furniture. Tell us what went into that decision.
This was not an easy decision. My brother Paul, of course, was the leader of the business at that time, and there were many offers coming over the table from time to time. But with our company, we had hundreds and hundreds of stockholders because many of the employees were major stockholders. Plus, all of the employees shared in the profits through profit sharing, so they were involved. So in effect, you might say that the leadership of the family had somewhat of a fiduciary responsibility. Is that if an offer comes along that is a good one, do you turn it down or do you accept it? So at this time, it was accepted, and could have maybe stayed in business for a few more years, but who knows what would have happened. The Broyhill family were independent. They were self-reliant, and they felt that the Republican Party was the party that best suited their political preference.
All right, so you, a young man, enrolled in UNC Chapel Hill. While you were there, you met a young co-ed from Durham named Louise, and the two of you became a couple, married over 50 years now, 3 children, Philip, Marilyn, and Ed. What brought you all together?
I don't know if you want to tell the whole story or not. I was going down Franklin Street, Brad, going out to Hope Valley to play golf. And I saw this beautiful blonde standing there with her roommate, whom I knew well. And so I came to a screeching halt and said, "You girls want to ride?" So it took from there. The 1962, the General Assembly added 2 counties to the 9th District. Those are Davie and Yadkin. And of course, as those of you know that those two counties tend to vote Republican. And so that tilted the district.
Now, they thought they were getting rid of Charlie Jonas.
They thought they were getting rid of Charlie Jonas because they put some other counties further east in his district. And so there was a lot of urging on other people's part, frankly, that I get involved. The job of a congressman is more than being a legislator. That, of course, is his first responsibility, to be there to not only vote yes or no on the legislative ideas that are brought forward, but also to try to add to that in the best way that you can. But the other duty of a congressman is that of being an ombudsman. That is a person who is helpful to constituents' problems that they might have. The third responsibility of a member of Congress is that as being a spokesman or being an advocate for your point of view, of your political philosophy, so to speak. But being the ombudsman, I suppose, came natural to me because of what you said, that in the furniture business, we were always so responsible to our customer.
We'll be back with more great stories from our Carolina Collection interview with Jim Broyhill after these messages.
So let me just lay out what we've learned here. We've looked over all the tests, all the scans, and from everything we're seeing, knowing that nothing can be 100% conclusive, looks like we got it all. There's no visible sign of the tumor, but we're going to keep an eye on it. We'll need to follow up every 2 or 3 months for now, but this is really good news.
I caulk to save money on my electric bills. He does it because, well, I guess because I do it. Your Touchstone Energy Cooperative can teach you how to save energy and money at togetherwesave.com.
North Carolina's Touchstone Energy Cooperatives, looking out for you.
The Broyhill family has played a significant role in our state, so let's hear more from this dedicated public servant.
So today, most of the congressional districts are ultra safe. There are very few that are marginal.
So is that why they don't have to compromise?
They don't have to go talk to the other side in order to get support for their reelection. There were presidents, a number of presidents, of course, that came through during my 24 years there. Gerald Ford was my good friend, and I would have to say that he was a real favorite of mine. Gerald Ford was in office for only 29 months. He was immediately embroiled in
Nixon
controversy with the Congress. You've got to remember that after the election of '74, that the Democrats had a 2-to-1 majority in the House of Representatives and also in the Senate. So they could push through just about anything they wanted. However, Gerald Ford had the courage to veto more bills in that short a time than any president in history.
Now, you became the ranking minority chairman of that Commerce Committee you talked about. In fact, people on both sides of the aisle used to call you Mr. Chairman. What was it about commerce that appealed to you, and why were you so interested in staying on that committee?
Well, this was as I said, had such a broad jurisdiction over all of the regulatory agencies, all of the environmental bills. We had as I said, the railroads, the energy. That's now called Energy and Commerce. So, but most interesting work, very important work, something going on all of the time, and it was the committee to be on.
during your period of service in the Congress, there were several major events in this country, Vietnam, Watergate, to name two. What kind of impact did they have on the Congress and on this nation?
They were very, very great impact. The Watergate, of course, was where we had a real crisis in this country over with a president that was not only found to be engaging in unethical behavior and illegal behavior, but also the whole episode was tying up Congress as well as tying up the White House, the presidency itself, in these issues, and nothing else was being done with respect to the economy or with respect to solving other problems. And then again was the tremendous loss of faith in the presidency. And that's why, again, getting me back, I was so proud of Gerald Ford coming in that restored that confidence and faith in the presidency the way he did.
We'll be back with more great stories from our Carolina Collection interview with Jim Broyhill after these messages.
NC Spin is brought to you in part by the North Carolina Farm Bureau. The Farm Bureau and Agriculture. We keep North Carolina growing.
Raffaldini Vineyards is Chianti in the Carolinas. Enjoy Italian-style wines, breathtaking views, cultural events, and much more. Visit raffaldini.com.
I'm Wayne Goodwin, your insurance commissioner. On my watch, we've arrested more than 600 people for insurance fraud. To learn more, go to my website at waynegoodwin.org. Thank you for your vote.
Here's more of our interview with Senator Jim Broyhill, which was underwritten by Blue Cross Blue Shield, Wells Fargo, and Touchstone Energy.
The prevailing thinking is that we may have a Republican governor in North Carolina and a Republican legislature for the first time since, I guess, before Reconstruction. So far as it goes, as the elder statesman of the Republican Party in North Carolina, what advice would you give this governor and this legislature? What would you tell them?
Just as I pointed out there in my other answers, that they're now are going to have a responsibility to govern and not just sit there and do nothing. There are problems that need to be met. They can be met with good, sound principles and sound programs, and at the same time to live within the budget.
Now, in 1986, there were a lot of people coming to you, whispering in your ear, saying, Jim Broyhill, our Senator John East is ill, and we want you to run for the U.S. Senate.
The moment he made the decision not to run in January of 1962,
82.
Of 82, those groundswell of voices was a crescendo and was urging me to be the candidate. So I threw my hat in the ring, and unfortunately he died in June of that year, and Governor Martin appointed me for the unexpired term.
The Congressional Club actually ran somebody against you in the primary, if I remember correctly. And then Terry Sanford was your Democratic opponent in that general election. Both of them said some negative things about you, ran negative campaigns about you. And yet, from talking to your former staffers, you told them repeatedly you would not go negative in response.
I felt at the time that we could win it without being negative. And I still feel that we could have. I think that if you want to put it in terms of mistake that I made, I think the mistake that I made in that campaign was not getting on television and saying, who is Jim Broyhill, what has he done, and what can he do for you?
You were narrowly defeated in that campaign, Governor Martin was eager to get you back home and put you to work in the Economic Development Board, and you served there, sort of extending the role that you had had on a national level in bringing commerce to North Carolina.
Well, I served as the chairman of the Economic Development Board and then later as Secretary of Commerce. We still like to brag that we were number one in America in attracting new industry to our state. The first thing they want to know about is worker training and education. This was a real lesson to me, is that first, of course, they already knew when they came to talk to you, they already knew whether or not you could furnish the water, the sewer capacity, and
roads,
that sort of thing,
yeah.
Whatnot. But they were most interested in what is the education in that particular area, and what about training our workers. And we have one of the finest community college systems in America, and has been immensely helpful. It was to me, and I know it is to Secretary Crisco, in attracting new industry and new jobs to this.
Well, the economy and jobs are obviously the number one issue on people's minds today. So I'd like to hear what your opinion is of our economy in North Carolina, and what do we need to do to create jobs?
Well, the whole I look at it that what you can do in North Carolina, you need to do nationwide, and there are three things that need to be done. Number one, let's put it this way: if I were president, I would immediately put a freeze on all taxes and all new regulation for at least 5 years, so that people would have a certainty with respect to the tax code and a certainty with respect to what regulation that they're going to have to live under. Next, I would put all of the congressional leaders in a room and not let them out until they had done something about the increasing debt. The other thing that I would do is that I would immediately issue whatever orders that are necessary to empower any production of energy of any kind, whether green, traditional, or whatever, so that within 10 years we would be truly energy independent. And I would also then immediately have a in-depth study of our trade agreements, because I'm told by too many of our manufacturers that breaking into foreign markets is very, very difficult, where it's so easy for the foreign manufacturers
to come here
to break into our markets. We need to change that. Unfortunately, our jobs in our old traditional industries have gone, and I don't think they'll ever come back. We've lost hundreds of thousands of jobs in the furniture industry, in the textile industry, in the apparel industry, in tobacco, and all of these are served us well, but they're not coming back. And we need to have a emphasis on technical training so that our workers can be prepared to work in industries like biotech and other higher tech industries.
So, looking at this from your perspective now, you've been in the political world, you've been involved in public policy for more years than most of us can even remember. How would you summarize the state of North Carolina today? What's the state of the state?
Well, Tom, I think we have problems in this state, as many other states have, but I think we're going to get through them, as long as that we stick to the principles that have brought us this far, and that is of making sure that our budgets are balanced and that what we spend money for are worthwhile programs that bring about meaningful jobs and bring about meaningful work for our people. But we have so much to offer, and we can do it if we just stick together.
Your story, your family story, your business story is much like the story of our state. Humble beginnings, hard work, perseverance. There's an incredible amount of humility in Jim Broyhill and modesty in Jim Broyhill. You don't brag much about the incredible contributions that you've made to our state, but you are the epitome of what's good about North Carolina and one of the most significant people of our era. And I think that it's time the rest of the state knew more about what Jim Broyhill has done. And I'll have to tell you, it's been an honor and a privilege having this conversation with you, and I thank you.
Thank you very much.
We hope you've enjoyed our special Carolina Collection interview with Senator Jim Broyhill. If you want a copy of the full interview, visit our website, ncspin.com. Next week, we'll return with more issues of interest to the people of North Carolina. Until then, stay informed and watch out for the spin.
Join us next week and get the spin on issues facing our state.